Here is some of the news from UFC President Dana White right from the UFC 272 post-fight press conference. Here is what he had to say. The winner between Khamzat, Chimaev, and Gilbert Bruns most likely will be fighting for a title.
Going into it, are you looking at Chimaev and Bruns as the #1 contender fight in the welterweight division?
Makes sense.
Marina Roudriguez also did enough to cement her place as the #1 contender.
Marina Roudriguez do enough tonight to be a #1 contender for the winner of Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas.
Makes sense.
Then,
Making a lot of sense, Schmo.
Nate Diaz is most likely to get a new contract with the UFC.
Nate Diaz, what's the likelihood he gets a new contract before we see him entering the octagon again?
The likelihood that Nate Diaz gets a new contract? Very good.
Covington is not pushing for another Usman fight. He wants Porier instead.
Yeah, I got to get back to work. I'm completely injury free. I'm healthy. So, I want to fight in July. I think that's a perfect timeline to get back in there. And I think what's next is Dustin, man. He said he's on site. He said, oh, we're going to jail, this and that. So let's fight, man. He said it's Bolton season. He wants to come up and fight Nate at 170. He don't have a fight. Nate's fighting Connor. So there's no other fights for Dustin. He needs to come take this losing paycheck just like his boy George just did.
Masvidal wants to avenge 2 losses, both with Usman and Covington.
One question. More important for you before it's all said and done to get a 3rd fight with Usman or that 2nd fight with Colby?
It'd be nice to get both. If I could get both, it'd be very nice. I feel in this fight there was a couple hiccups in the wrestling exchanges when he was giving all he had to take me down. If I could have just avoided those takedowns then, it would have been detrimental for him. Then we would have been on the feet and I would have been nice and calm and he would have been huffing and puffing. Instead, I gave up in some positions. Not gave up, but I got outscored, and then that allowed him to put his style on me, and then that made it. Then my gas tank went down. So I just feel like if I could clean that up, I could make his life hell.
Masvidal also posted on his Instagram, "Far from over, I will be back." YouTube star and boxer Jake Paul reacts to Masvidal versus Covington fight. He said, "We already know Conor can't finish Diaz, right? Fight to make it Masvidal versus McGregor. 50-50 fight, ends in KO. Both can throw and both have weak chins." Jake Paul was calling out Masvidal for quite some time now. Both had exchanged words before, and they were not very kind. Previously, Masvidal stated, "I only fight the best people," or "I fight for money, and you're neither of those." Jake responded, "Masvidal, I got an offer for you right now. $5 million guarantee, plus percentage of pay-per-views. That's the most you would have ever made in a fight. Ever. So now you can't say, I either fight the best or I fight for money. Let's make it happen." On a new episode of Weighing In Podcast with Josh Thompson and Big John McCarthy, Big John shared his opinion on Covington versus Masvidal. He said, "Colby is a grinder. He is not going to be that guy who is exciting. It's not his style. But he is good, and he is a guy who can take on a lot of guy because of his wrestling ability and pressure. His pressure is difficult to deal with. He is good at what he does." He also answered Josh Thompson's question about why he had never seen Burns versus Covington fight. "You are jumping the shark on this one. He, Burns, has got to fight Chimaev first." Chael Sonnen on his YouTube channel talked about meeting Khamzat in person. "I spoke to Khamzat on FaceTime, but never met him in person. We heard some rumors about Chimaev not getting his visa and all the problems he's faced up until this point, so it was shocking to see him in person. Then Dana White confirms that Chimaev versus Burns will be #1 contender fight. Then it all made sense to me. People always ask me about Chimaev. Why does he fight at 170? Why not 185? Well, right now he needs to be 170-pounder because as human beings, we don't get smaller. And especially if he talks about the champ status, he needs to fight at 170 first. But eventually he will move up. I asked him what's the most amount of weight he had during his life, and he said 188 pounds. He's usually around 181. I said to him, "I watched you wrestle Jack Hermanson and you looked bigger than me." He said no, Jack was actually bigger. Greg Hardy addressed his 3rd loss in a row on his Instagram. He said, "I'm okay, first of all. For those who want to know. No excuses, gotta get better. I don't know what to do but say, sorry. More coming for the Prince of War, just gotta get my shit together. Thank you to the UFC and Dana White for being in my corner. Thank you, coaches and training partners and agents. First round management. Everyone did their job except for me. This one is on me, and there are no excuses for me lacking. I refuse to die, but I have to reevaluate for sure. Khabib Nurmagomedov finally meets Kamaru Usman's father. Both fighters were considered #1 pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Khabib right after defeating Justin Gaethje, and Kamaru Usman at the moment is #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. Both fighters are managed by Ali Abdelaziz. Tyson Fury opens up about recent Twitter feud with Conor McGregor. It was Super Bowl weekend, a great time to get some publicity. Great timing, actually. We were trending all over Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, so pretty good work. I think he's a good fighter. Well, he has been a good fighter in the past. It is what it is. The man's doing his thing and earning a few quid, paying for his family. You can't complain, can you? How could there be any animosity? We're in totally different sports, but it created the headlines that we wanted. Islam Makhachev says that Conor McGregor will have to fight old people like Nate Diaz for money. He will never be champion again. Makhachev is not buying into the chatters about Conor McGregor getting a title shot upon his return to UFC. This type of chatter is interesting for fans to talk about, but he believes there is no way Old Man can compete with elite fighters in the lightweight division, especially with his bad drinking habits, which may come from Conor's alcohol company, Proper Number 12. In an interview with Brett Okamoto with ESPN, Makhachev said, "I think this is fake. For the fans that make some interesting, but I think this is fake. It's going to be hard for him make 155 because he drunk all day and a lot of people are going to smash him in this situation. He just going to fight versus Nate Diaz or, some old people for make some money and that's it. He's never going to be champion. He's never going to compete this level." Conor recently called out Makhachev in his return fight. However, those tweets have been deleted. Makhachev is running hot as his winning streak extends to 10, ranked #3 in the lightweight division. Now, we can't talk about title bouts without Dana White's name being involved. Multiple fighters have expressed their concern about McGregor getting an immediate title shot with his drawbacks at 155 pounds. However, Dana is still thinking about giving McGregor a title shot down the line. Fans may doubt McGregor's claim to a title shot, but they have to remember that McGregor is a superstar, and with superstar status comes superstar views. So physically, he may not be up to par with his fellow competitors, but popularity-wise, he surpasses most. Dana White had this to say about the situation. "The problem is, every time I do a interview, all anybody wants to ask is, you think Conor McGregor will get a title shot? That's all they ask. So I'm gonna say, well, Conor McGregor isn't anywhere near coming back yet, so I don't know. Let's see what happens. And anybody who's pissed off because Conor might get a title shot, you're a idiot too. If that pisses you off, Jesus Christ, calm down, buddy." California. Justin Gaethje calls out California's justice system because Cain Velasquez is denied bail in attempted murder case. Many people, not just the MMA UFC community, are following the Cain Velasquez case. Justin Gaethje in particular is not happy with how Cali's Justice Department is handling the situation. The former UFC lightweight title contender hopped on Twitter and spoke his mind about the system's handling of the case. Gaethje thinks the state's justice system job is as similar as a clown's by coining the new term California. He even added a nice little clown face emoji as a cherry on top. As for the case itself, the presiding judge, Judge Shelna Brown, gave the verdict and denied bail to Cain Velasquez, meaning that he is stuck in the cell until his next trial. Judge Brown believes that the seriousness of Velasquez's action makes him a threat to the Santa Clara residents. And if you're not familiar with Cain Velasquez's situation, just search it up online and you'll see the full story. Regarding the situation, Judge Brown said, "It is clear to this court that there is clear and convincing evidence that there is a substantial likelihood that release would result in great bodily injury, not just to the named complaining witnesses in this case, but to Santa Clara residents at large. This case involves allegations of extreme recklessness to human life. ramming a vehicle in the middle of the day where citizens are out driving, going about their business, and shooting out of a car at other individuals, which is reckless by any standard. Anyone could have been injured. Anyone could have been killed.